the sacred pause. Why is that pause sacred? Let me begin with a story to make this point more clear. The story, friends, is about a Krishna devotee, ardent devotee of Krishna, singing his praises day and night, and regularly visiting a temple of Krishna, obviously, to do the prayers from his heart. One day he went to this temple and he was doing his prayers. When he opened his eyes, he saw that there was light everywhere, blinding light. Lord Krishna had appeared to him. He was so pleased with him. He came and he said that I am very happy with you. Today, I am going to take your form, assume your physical form, and take over the works that you do. And you stand behind my statue, just be there. And for the whole day, just observe what's happening. Wow. But don't say anything. In the evening, I'll come back and then we'll exchange notes. What happened? Beautiful plan. Lord Krishna went away in the form of the devotees, in his form, and the devotee stood behind his statue. A wealthy man comes in, and of course, he looks wealthy because of his attire and his gait. And he comes inside the temple, does his prayers, and then to make an offering, he takes out his wallet. And he takes out some money from the wallet, offers at this, Krishna statue, and then he walks back out of the temple. Then another devotee comes soon after. And from his dress, he looks to be quite poor. And, devotee behind the statue is watching all this. So now this poor-looking man, he is doing the prayers and he's speaking loudly, just giving Lord, the state of his condition at the moment, that his wife is sick, his children are hungry, he has no money. And as he's going, bowing down before the statue, what he sees near the carpet, at the corner, there lies a wallet. He picks it up and he looks around. No one is watching me. And of course, there's a lot of money in there. He hurriedly puts it in his pocket, goes out of the temple as if no one has seen him. He assumes nobody has seen him. But we know the Krishna devotee behind the statue was watching him. He was the witness. Some time passes. There comes another devotee. And from his dress, he appears to be a sailor. And yes, he was a sailor. And he had come, for doing the prayers and asking the Lord, please help me, save me, bring me back home safely, take care of my family, because I'm going for a long sea journey. And I have to go. So take care of me and my family, bring me back home. He does his prayers and he's about to leave, but what happens? That wealthy man who came first, he comes inside the temple. And this time, he has a policeman with him. There's a police car. The wealthy man tells the policeman, look, this is the culprit. Catch him. He has taken my wallet. I just came some time back, and I don't think anyone came after me. He is the culprit. Arrest him. The police is about to arrest the sailor, and the sailor is pleading, I'm not guilty. Of course, he wasn't. But they didn't know. And they were just assuming that he is the thief. He was going to be taken to the jail and suddenly jumped out from behind the Krishna statue. The devotee was standing and watching everything. He said, wait, I know the truth. I saw everything with my own eyes. I'm the witness. I've been standing here since morning. I know he came. And I know the sailor came, but in between, there was another man. He has taken the wallet. And I saw him take with my own eyes. So what he does is he gives his description. and the direction where he went to from the temple. The police said, okay. And, in a short time, they were able to nab the culprit. And what happens? The wallet is recovered, of course. And this poor man is put in jail. And the sailor is happy. Oh my God, thank you. I'm free. I can go, for my sea journey, etc. The wealthy man is also happy. He got his money back. The day passes. Many people come and go, but nothing as eventful as this happens in the temple. And now Lord Krishna comes back. It's evening time. And the devotee also comes out behind the statue and is thinking that I've done a great job today. Lord Krishna will be very happy with me. I spoke the truth, isn't it? But Lord Krishna, he admonishes. Why did you speak? Why did you interfere with my plan? I told you to keep quiet. That was the condition. You know what my plan was? My plan was that the sailor is caught by the police. He should have been put in jail. And that would have saved his life. Now he'll die. There's going to be a fierce sea storm. The entire crew will perish. His family will suffer because he was the only earning member. See what you have done. And that poor man, his wife was sick. The children were hungry. That little money would have helped them, for a few days with that money. And what about that wealthy man? He had so much of money. Anyway, little bit of money going out of his pocket wouldn't have made much difference. So see what you did. So friend, this story only tells us, reflects us, to think upon how important is to practice the pause. And that comes by learning, by cultivating patience. That is why we did the affirmation on patience. Patience is the key. Now I'll talk about some of, the pauses in nature, which are inherent in nature. Nature is replete with examples. Nature is God. Nature tells us that's how we must conduct in life, how we must conduct in our life. Don't we experience so many tangible pauses in our life, observable, that we go through day in and day out? We become so habitual with those pauses. We don't even realize that they're happening, isn't it? For example, the day and night. The day comes, right? With the rising sun, dawn of a day. The whole day passes, but the day has to pass and give way for the night to ensue, isn't it? The night happens, and then the night has to pass. The sun to rise up again. Isn't that so? But we are so habituated. Day and night, nature is showing us that there is a pause, there is a period of rest that comes in my very plan, nature's plan, Divine Mother's plan. This creation has all these inherent. This is one example. Seasons, summer gives way to, like we're going through monsoon right now, rains, autumn, winter, spring back again, and then summer. And the cycle continues on and on, year after year. We all know that. We experience it, but we are habituated. We don't give a thought that these pauses, these periods of rest are inherent in nature. Nothing, friends, goes on and on. Nothing goes on without a change. Change is inherent, and that change comes with that pause. And this pause is very sacred. I will talk more about this. But also in our daily lives, if we see, all of us need periods of rest, don't we? We go to our offices, even those who are household, duties they have to do only in their homes. They need rest periods off and on. Isn't that so? We take periods of rest to rejuvenate, to revamp, to help us come back, to our normal self. Otherwise, we'll be too tired and too bored and exhausted doing the same thing, isn't it? Children get holidays in schools, summer vacations, winter vacations. They don't have studies throughout the year. That's inherent in our system of education. So all these are tangible pauses, observable pauses, something which we know they exist, but we do not reflect upon them. We do not think that what is their importance? What are they trying to teach us? What is God? What is nature trying to tell us through all these inherent periods of rest? Now, there are many pauses or periods of rest which are also intangible. They are not observable by the naked eye. You can't see them, but if you can't see something, it does not mean it doesn't exist. I'll give a few examples to prove and make this point home. Biologists know, scientists know that when a cell divides, it gives rise to two cells. One cell divides, forming two cells. And that is how, friends, we have all, grown and having these bodies from a single zygote, which was formed by the union of the male sperm, female ovum. We all know that. And how that zygote, single-celled body, it divided on and on, forming a multicellular structure. A baby is born. Multicellular, trillions of cells. So cell division is inherent. We don't see it happening, with our naked eyes, but it is happening, isn't it? That is why we are all here. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that cell division, if we look at that process, which is inherent in nature, though intangible, not observable by naked eye, it has a period of rest. How? Now, when a cell, let's call it a parent cell, it divides into two daughter cells, let's call it like that, okay? A parent cell dividing into two daughter cells. Now, there is another cell division happening, and those two daughter cells will further divide into two more, and like that, it will continue. This is cell division. But between two cell divisions, there is a period of rest. Long rest. Cell division is a very small part of that cell cycle, as biologists call it. So cell cycle is a complete cycle, and cells in this cell cycle, the division part is very small. Most of it is rest period. So interesting, isn't it? And what is happening? What is the cell doing in that, rest period? It is a very dynamic period. There is we cannot say no activity is happening. It's a dynamic pause. Why is it a dynamic pause, friends? Because it is during this time that, we understand as, technically speaking, interphase. That is a rest period for a cell. Interphase between two cell divisions. During this time, the cell is replicating its DNA, the blueprint of life. So much of work is happening inside the cell during this rest period, right? The DNA molecule, that is the blueprint of life. So what the parent cell is doing, it's replicating its DNA to form two sets for equal distribution into the daughter cells. Cell division hardly takes little time, but the most of the time goes in this process. It is such an important rest period for a cell. So dynamic. So much is happening. Just look at that. We cannot see, but it is happening. That is how we are growing. That is how cells are multiplying, right? To form trillions of cells, forming bodies of human beings, animals, plants. So this is one example in nature. I will give one more example here to prove this point, that there are sacred pauses. How sacred these pauses are. how important these periods of rest are, which are inherent in nature. Take a look, friends, at lives of some of the scientists, people who have made phenomenal discoveries and inventions. There are a number of examples of scientific advancements that have taken over the centuries. And what do we notice? We see that scientists, of course, do a mind-boggling, experimental work, and they derive conclusions. Of course, they observe and derive conclusions from their experiments, and that's how new things are developed. But they say it is not during those periods of mental activity, when they're struggling with that problem. No, creative ideas come to them when they are rested, when their minds are rested. Isn't that so wonderful? There are, so many examples are there that, if you go and look at the life histories of some of them, like Edison, Nikola Tesla, and many others, of course, you will see that they have been at their creative best when their minds were rested, when their hearts were calm, when they did not have any tension, bothering them. Of course, this was after a lot of mental activity before they, rested their minds. So what is happening? Let us try to go deeper into this period of sacred pause. What is happening? What is happening? Why does creativity come? Why the ideas come to people, when their minds are rested? As we've seen that scientists come up with all these ideas for discoveries, new inventions, when their mind is calm and they're not bothered by stray thoughts. Why does it happen? Scientists say now that it is during this time, when your mind is calm, the brain is actually going through a lot of networking. New neural connections are being formed, new patterns of nerves. It is all about networks of nerves, neural patterns, isn't it? That help us think, help us behave in a certain way, act in a certain way. So these networks of nerves, they are being created. New networks are being formed. New ideas come up from that, physiological change that is happening. The brain is undergoing structural change. Isn't that so wonderful? It is scientifically proven today. This is a field of neuroplasticity. Earlier, it was thought that the brain is, it remains the same right from birth to adulthood and, in old age. It's not so. Brain changes. There are physiological changes happening when our mind is calm. And Yogananda ji has said that thoughts are universally and not individually rooted. A truth cannot be created, but only perceived. What a powerful statement it is from Yogananda, which proves this, that when your heart is calm, when you are in that state of deep interiorized, state of comprehending things in a larger perspective, expanding your consciousness, what happens is that your consciousness is raised to a level that you are able to catch the thoughts from the ether. Truth cannot be created. Truth is already there. The inventions, the discoveries, those ideas, those creative potential is all there in the ether. But when the scientist is calm, when anyone is calm, in any field of art, when your heart is calm, you raise your awareness to that level that you can catch those thoughts already roaming around in ether, in waves. They're always there. We are not able to catch because our energies are low. But the moment we calm our hearts, they rise, the energy rises, and we are able to take those thoughts from the ether. Creativity comes. New ideas spring up. new discoveries, inventions happen. This is the reason. And it's all based on, this beautiful statement of Yogananda that thoughts are universally and not individually rooted. Truth cannot be created, but only perceived. Now, I'll also be talking a little about, how we can make this a practice in our daily life. You may wonder that, how can we make this a practice in our daily lives? We can make this a practice, friends, to practice the pause by, remaining silent in many situations of life, keeping silent, keeping quiet, and not retorting. If someone is being unkind to you, is rude, someone is talking harshly with you, criticizing, it's better not to retort and pay back in the same coin, but exercise patience. Know that God has a different plan. Let that plan unfold. Let that plan, what is there in the divine, director, God, what has He planned for you? Let it come forth rather than we imposing our will, which is driven by fancies, with all kinds of ego-driven sense gratifications. And that is why we keep on adding new karmas and get bound, in those karmic bondages, and that keep us, bringing us to the earthly plane for working out those karmas. Why do it? Keep silent, practice the pause. And for that, cultivate the quality of patience. Now, also, I would like to say that the moments of pause for all meditators is very important. As we practice meditation, especially in the technique of Hong So, as most of us practice Hong So, don't we experience, when we are in deeper states of meditation, we experience that sacred pause between the breaths that comes. And that pause lengthens, it increases in its, duration if we are meditating deeply. More and more deeper we go into our inner self, more and more the breath slows, becomes shallower and shallower. The pauses between the breaths lengthen. These are the sacred pauses for all meditators to enjoy, because these are the moments of divine communion. These are the moments of breathlessness. We will become breathless for some moments. Enjoy and hold on to that experience of divine communion. It is so important to hold on. We forget, because these are so beautiful, joyful moments which have no opposite. And they are always there in our hearts, to come back again and again to them and feel so lovely that, wow, those few moments of the sacred pause I felt in my meditation today. You can tell yourself, isn't it? And that helps you to remain on the path with greater perseverance, because God came to you in those moments of pause. God came to you if you hear the sound of Om, if you see the light of the spiritual light, if you feel profound peace or that unending calmness. God came to me. You say to yourself in those sacred pauses when you meditate. See the importance of meditation. I have a few minutes, so I want to explain one more thing, which is, the transitioning hours of, from night to day. These are very important. When the sun is about to rise, about 1.5 or 2 hours before the sunrise, the Brahma Muhurat time, this is the transitioning period. It is a period of great spiritual relevance to all meditators. It says that there are high cosmic energies, and they help spiritual aspirants to raise their energy if you meditate during these hours. And lastly, of course, I will touch upon the pause at death. What happens when the breath leaves the body? When the breath, friends, leaves the body, we can feel absence of God-given gift, the gift of breath. And we are into a new cycle, of course, when our soul leaves and goes into the astral world, and Master says that it then waits for a new body, to be reincarnated on the earthly plane to work out its karmas, to learn new lessons. The soul has to learn some lessons, isn't it? Which the soul has not learned in that previous incarnation. So the soul comes back in a new body, in a new physical form, to work out the karmas, to learn new lessons. So that is a pause at death. But if one becomes a Jivan Mukta, one has no more karmas to work out, right? Maybe if you look at the, Paramuktas, they are completely done with all kinds of karmas also, and they are one with the divine. They've reached that state of enlightenment. The avatars, our gurus on the Kriya path, Paramhansa Yogananda ji, on the path of Kriya Yoga, and all the gurus of the Kriya Yoga lineage, if we look, why did they come? You may ask this question. They were free, liberated souls, avatars. Why did Paramhansa Yogananda come on the earthly plane again? It was out of, friends, sheer compassion. There was no obligation for an avatar to come. They love us. They have the deep compassion for people who are struggling to go back into the light of divine. He comes to help us. So this is an exception. The avatars come out of love, to raise the consciousness of the devotees, people who are struggling, people who are wanting to be unified into that light and be in that blissful state forever and ever. So I'll end it here, and going back to the story before I end, I think have maybe 1 or 2 minutes. The Krishna devotee should have, practiced the pause. I think we realize that now. If he had practiced the pause, he would have saved the life of the sailor. He would have helped the poor man with some money. And the wealthy man would have, been affected at all, as we know. So it is good to let things happen as the divine director has planned for us, rather than fiddling, rather than imposing our will, which is completely driven by ego. So I'll end here, friends. Thank you. And we'll now have a healing prayer. Let's interiorize ourselves. And let's share the blessings we have received with all souls everywhere. You can bring to your mind anyone in need of healing, any situation in need of healing. Also visualize all Ananda centers, all Guru Bhais, and of course all your family members. Also visualize all truth seekers in the world. Also visualize Mother Earth surrounded with light as you pray. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent, thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls everywhere. Let's stop our hands and chant Om 3 times, sending these healing vibrations into the world. Om. 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 Yes. Amen. Let's do a closing prayer. Divine Mother, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion. And may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.